Hi, Patrice, and I'm the Associate Director of Learning Design at the Harvard Graduate School of Education, and I'm excited to introduce a activity that I do with my classes if it's a group that we're meeting together for the first time, and it's called The Story of Your Name. And the way that I like to use this, if it is a small class, we would do it in a setting just like we are in right now with the four of us. If you have a bigger group, I would strongly recommend using breakout rooms and putting people in 3 to 4 people per breakout room and give them 8 to 10 minutes of time to share the story of their name. And so I will start. The way this works is you share a little bit about how your name was selected, if your name has any type of meaning or story attached to it. And you can do your first name and your last name if there is a little story for each of those. So I will kick us off. My first name is Patrice, and my mother was a lover of, she really enjoyed horses and horse racing. And there, where I grew up in Schenectady, New York, nearby in Saratoga, New York, there's a racetrack. And there was a horse owner named Patrice, and she had a horse called Princess Patrice. And so that is actually how my first name was selected, which made for an interesting story growing up. And it's also, interestingly, it is a male name in France. And for a large part of my career, I taught online way back when we didn't have Zoom or anything like that. So many of my students actually thought that I was a male professor for a long time. And my last name is Prusko, which is a Polish name. And growing up, people used to say that, most Polish names end in ski. And so a lot of people would think that like my name maybe was Pruskowski and had been shortened when my ancestors came here. And so growing up, a lot of times I got called Pruskowski. So that is the story of my name. Autumn, would you like to go next?
Hey, sure. So I know the story of my first name. I don't really know any stories about my last name. I think my last name comes from like an English origin somewhere, but I'm not entirely sure about that. But the story of my first name is that there were a couple of other options. My mom wanted to call me Sunday. And ultimately, I was named Autumn, and I was born on a Thursday in the winter. So I'm not sure exactly how all that hashed out. But my father wanted to name me Autumn. He picked the name out. My mom really wanted it to be unique. So she spelled it with 2 M's. So that's why my name is Autumn with 2 M's, A-U-T-U-M-M. A little known fact is that my legal name is actually Autumn with 2 M's and an N. So it's A-U-T-U-M-M-N. So for like the first, I don't even know, like first year of my life, it was spelled like the season, A-U-T-U-M-N. And then because they screwed it up, my mom wanted to have the special spelling, and somehow or another it got messed up. And then, in trying to correct it, it just kind of got messed up again. So I have this spelling that I use in social media and that I use in all of my regular stuff, but my my legal spelling is actually A-U-T-U-M-M-N, and it was just because they thought it was pretty. That's it. Who wants to go next?
It's interesting. I can go next. My middle name is Wavinya. I've not written it, but it's from a tribe, one of the tribes in Kenya. We are from the eastern kind of near Nairobi. And I was called Wavinya because Wavinya means either problematic, difficult, and because I was born through the cesarean way, so my parents thought because I was born with a lot of difficult, then I'm called Wavinya. But as I was growing up, I was kind of a cheeky person. So everybody thought the Wavinya was because of my cheekiness, because I was kind of, yeah, so it's that way. The names in our place, names, either you're named after someone, or you're named after a season, or you're named after an occasion. So that's how I got my Wavinya name. So yeah, and during those times, cesarean was very, very rare, and that was back in 1966. So yeah, so that's why they thought it was really a difficult thing. Yeah. So that's the story of my middle name. Yeah.
That is so
Thank
interesting
you.
because in Islam, before in Arab world before Islam, they used to call their children names that had negative connotations. And then Islam came and said, do not do that. Give your kids nice names. Like it's like sort of like you don't want a self-fulfilling prophecy. Although obviously you're saying this happened because your birth was difficult.
Yeah. Yes.
But
Yes.
I'm guessing it wasn't nice for you that people thought, oh, you must be a difficult child.
Yeah, I was cheeky, so you know.
You kind of deserved it.
So sometimes you're like, well,
Maybe.
and but then the funny thing is that someone who is also Wavinya became a member of parliament, and she was very, outspoken and all that. So every time I said my name is Wavinya, everybody was like, oh, they were relating me to that lady. So it's
Okay.
yeah, it's
Right.
not. I don't think it's such a bad thing, but I see where you are coming from, because if you are from a different culture, then it can really affect the way you connect with people. Yeah. Mm. Yeah.
So I'll share another story about this afterwards, but I'll share the stories of my name in three parts. So no, it's not as deep as any of yours, but they're just three different parts of my name. So Maha as a word is actually the name of an Arab kind of deer that is white and has very dark eyes and horns. And the Arabs used to call beautiful women who had fair skin and dark eyes the Maha. And so when you call your child that, it's just the name of a beautiful animal. But like naming girls after animals is quite common, and boys. So boys like named after lions or names for that kind of thing, and panthers and things like that, and girls named after deer seems to be a thing. And I think also birds. I just realized that as I was saying it actually. And flowers. But flowers seems normal, like jasmine and stuff. The other one is Bali, is an interesting last name for a lot of reasons. First of all, it's originally Turkish because my ancestors are Turkish, but also obviously in Indonesia you have the Bali Islands, and then there's the Bali brand for shoes and the Bali brand for lingerie. So it's a really interesting name to have, and it actually has meaning in Arabic. So Bali means my mind. And so all through my life, guys have been playing around with this. Oh, you're on my mind, you're on my belly, you know, that kind of thing. The third one is the funniest one. And that's what happens if you try a Google image search for my name. And I'm going to share my screen and show you what happens. So it used to be that you never see a picture of me, but you see this other thing. But it's just that I'm so famous, I guess, now that you get my picture too. It's crazy. I tried incognito window because, of course, my Google knows me. So my Google shows me myself. But I tried an incognito window and it did the same thing. So I guess it's become like a thing. You can try it yourself later. Can you see? So this is apparently a mythical Indian king called Mahabali. This is just like a complete coincidence, but that's just his name. So
Wow.
yeah, and he's a good person, which is
Wow.
nice. Wikipedia
I
even.
would,
Go ahead.
I would love that.
To have your name as something like that, right? There's also a resort in Thailand called something Pita Mahabali, but anyway. So it's very funny because one of my friends, Laura Gibbs, teaches Hindu mythology. So she like got a story with this Mahabali person. You know, she knows him really well. Anyway, that's the story of my name.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. So I really enjoyed hearing everyone's story. And I think one of the things that makes it really interesting is what people choose to share and how they share that information. And it's a great way without actually saying like, I want to hear about like where you're from or where you grew up. Inevitably like where you grew up or something about your your family or your culture, it brings in a lot of different things about a conversation that just naturally, emerge. And I find it really helps me gain empathy for my students, because inevitably like some little tidbit or something comes up about them that, that helps build those relationships that we want to have with our students and start to build that community that we're looking to grow.
What about when they do it in breakout rooms? How do you, and you bring it back in that someone would share one, or what do you do?
So if I have them go in breakout rooms and, depending upon like our total class time, what I might do is ask, one or two or three people to share something interesting that they learned. But what I like to do in breakout rooms is use a collaborative document that we sometimes call like a note catcher. And so in there, they can actually write things down, and then we can actually have that document that people can go back to and refer to.
Awesome. I like doing that with breakout rooms too. So you don't have to actually go and check what they're doing. They're taking the notes and they're there, and then they stay afterwards. Because this is also a nice asynchronous activity. Like you could do it asynchronously, obviously. But then it's also nice to do it synchronously, but keep a record to refer to later if you want.
Yeah.
When you have a bigger group, do you put them in groups so that they can tell each other about their names, or you like doing it the way we've done it?
So if I have a large group, I would definitely put them in breakout rooms. Like a class could be 80 or 100 students, for example. I would definitely put them in breakout rooms. Usually randomly put them in rooms. And one of the interesting things that I've heard from some of our students who kind of made that transition in the spring from residential, to Zoom was they actually got to know a lot of their fellow students in ways that they would not in residential for that reason, right? Like in the classroom, frequently people just go and they sit in the same seat, talk to the same people. But if you randomly put them in breakout rooms, they're actually interacting with a much larger group of people.
Right. I love that. That's an affordance of online that is seamless, because in real life, to force them to move, they feel like they drag their feet and they don't want to get up. I mean, I do the random like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So you're never with someone you sit next to, but then they have to get up and the screeching of the chairs moving and all that. So online it's like random, change the randomness. Yeah, that's great. Okay. Does anybody have any questions before I stop the recording? Thank you so much, Patrice. I'm going to stop the recording.